All right, today is July 3rd. It is what today? The day is Friday, around 11 a.m. Wrapped up the Tribute Velvet yesterday. Hopefully, some people listened to it and enjoyed something out of that 39-minute drone mashup that I came up with over the last 2 weeks or so. But we're moving on to different frontiers musically, and about this time last summer, I wrote a song called Money Now. I woke up one morning and I just had that melody. There's only two words in my language, and they're money now. There's only two words in my language. It was very cake inspired, not the food, the band Cake. I like Cake, the musical band. I don't know if they still do stuff, but they were pretty hot on the radio in my teenage years in the 90s. She's going the distance, and that Frank Sinatra song is brilliant. As Frank Sinatra sings stormy weather, do 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 do. They just have a unique style and flow, really relaxing, mellow music to listen to. And it's another example of spoken word, although he does have some melody in his voice as well. So this is a very Cake inspired song. I listed some other ones too, even Billie Eilish. I don't know Billie Eilish music at all. I just know one song that I heard on like a commercial that made me think of this. When I was making this song yesterday, it became an 80s pop song. It morphed into Stacy Q, Debbie Gibson territory. And I like it. There's somebody on Instagram I'll try to find, and he raps in his own unique style. It reminded me of a song like that. Maybe this is just a novelty song, a funny song, but there's a guitar version of this too. When I first came up with this idea, I was using an acoustic guitar, and I came up with a very organic flow to it, which maybe I'll share that again. I'll share that old link from last year so you can listen to my guitar cover as well. But this is more 80s pop. Took me all day to kind of put it together. I downloaded a multi-track program which is called let's see, BandLab. It did cost some money to be able to do multi-track recordings. Now I can do that, and I can master stuff on my phone app, so that's pretty cool. And we'll see where this goes. Can I continue to make songs like this? It's going to get more difficult as I run out of ideas. When I have my acoustic, I feel like it's unlimited potential to come up with some weird stuff with just the limited digital synthesizers and virtual instruments. I don't think I can do as much as I want to do with some of these song demos. But I could work on the drones, I can work on ambient and explore more avant garde stuff like that. So that's cool for now. At least I have a method of making some kind of music. I don't know if it's good or not. But with these limited apps, at least I'm able to do that. So I'm not completely lost at sea musically. Um, so this is a weird song to share. I wanted to share it because I thought it could be a radio song. And you'll notice the first beat, the dun 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 dun. It's a bass line. It sounds like so 80s that I probably copied it from something that I'm not thinking of. Maybe that song, Pump the Jam, Pump It Up. Remember that song? Who sings that? I should know that. Pump Up the Jam. Alright, I don't know. Felly and Technotronic. That's kind of what I'm going for with this song. Very 80s. Maybe that's in the 90s. I don't know. Nah, late 80s, 1989, in the summer. Pump up the jam, pump it up. Just to be funny, yeah, let's read the lyrics to that since I pick a song every talk to read the lyrics. Let's read that one. This is Pump Up the Jam by Technotronic, man. I'm reading this because I feel like this is what inspired this song today. Even though I'm just thinking of this right now. That's just how it works. A song will pop in my head. Technotronic. Sounds like a transformer. Pump up the jam. And let's read those lyrics. Let's see if there's any poetic spirit to this song. Alright. Pump up the jam. Pump it up while your feet are stomping and the jam is pumping. Look ahead, the crowd is jumping. Pump it up a little more. Get the party going on the dance floor. See, 'cause that's where the party's at, and you'll find out if you do that. Oh, a place to stay. That's catchy. Now I remember the chorus. I couldn't remember it before. Oh, a place to stay. Get your booty on the floor tonight. Make my day. Yeah, it's a pretty catchy song. Make my day. Make my day. To pump up the jam. Or yo, pump up the jam. Pump it up while your feet are stomping and the jam is pumping. Is this the same as the first verse? Look ahead, the crowd a jumping. Pump it up a little more. Get the party going on the dance floor. See, 'cause that's where the party's at. And you'll find out if you do that. Alright, I don't think I gotta read the rest of this. This is what I'm going for. Simple, poppy dance song that people would enjoy dancing to. And I'm going back in time to the 80s style that if you get to an 80s dance club, this was the type of beat you're going to hear, that synthesizer beat, synthesizer bass. So that's kind of where my head's at now after spending all day putting this song together. Really trying to make it sound professional as I can get it to be. I'm going to look up another song since Cake is the main influence. I'm going to look up the Frank Sinatra lyrics. I'll do this now so I don't forget about this, and then I'll talk a little bit more, but this is going to be a short talk. This is Cake, Frank Sinatra, off of their second album, Fashion Nugget. I'm sharing Cake because I really like the guy's vocal delivery, and I think he inspired the main chorus of this, at least. Maybe not so much the verses or the spirit of the song, but I could hear this as a Cake song in my head. We know of an ancient radiation that haunts dismembered constellations, a faintly glimmering radio station. While Frank Sinatra sings stormy weather, the flies and spiders get along together. Cobwebs fall on an old skipping record. Beyond the suns that guard this roost, beyond your flowers of flaming truths, beyond your latest ad campaigns, an old man sits collecting stamps in a room all filled with Chinese lamps. He saves what others throw away. He says that he'll be rich someday. Well, that relates to my song. We know of an ancient radiation that haunts dismembered constellations, a faintly glimmering radio station. And that kind of gets repeated again. While Frank Sinatra sings stormy weather, the flies and spiders get along together. Cobwebs fall on an old skipping record. It's a really brilliant song. I really like that song. When I think of Cake, I just think of it, the Frank Sinatra song. Alright, so that's out of the way. Get some my thank yous to some of these people that inspired this song, I think. I like doing that just to give people an idea of where my head's at and to thank these people too. So I'll share some maybe more 80s stuff if I can think of. I listened to Stacy Q maybe last summer, and I really liked it. If you want to listen to 80s cheesy pop, That's probably my favorite go-to. Stacy Q. I think she had a famous song, Two of Hearts. Yeah. Let's give her some due respect. What album was that off of? 'Cause I did from 1986, Two of Hearts. Just go watch the video. It's like going back to, you'll go back to the 80s if you listen to Two of Hearts. It's probably in a bunch of movies that I'm not thinking of. All right, yeah, Two of Hearts, written by John Mitchell, Tim Green, and Sue Gatlin. Produced by John St. James, William Walker, and Jeff Fishman. The song was Stacy Q's biggest hit and fueled the recording of her debut album Better Than Heaven in 1986. This is all coming from Wikipedia. So it was released in 86. I was 5 years old. I don't really remember it. But I do remember listening to it later. It must have been in a movie or something. Nah, what? It's not the Napoleon Dynamite. What was the Napoleon Dynamite song? 'Cause I just watched that a couple months ago. Napoleon Dynamite was The Promise by When in Rome. Maybe I'll share that too since I mentioned it. Great movie. That's on my list of favorite movies. Napoleon Dynamite, When in Rome, and The Promise. All right. I don't remember how it goes, but that's in my head for some reason. So yeah, this is my poppy side that I don't really get to explore much. It's more of a back in time kind of a. I wouldn't say I'm satirizing the '80s because I genuinely like that. Um, there's another song I was thinking of last night. I just got it back in my brain. When you think of '80s pop, it blends into the new wave style too. Move out, don't mess around. Yeah, that's by Yazoo. I do remember their name? Yeah, yeah, that's cool. I'll share this. Maybe I'll focus this more on '80s songs. Maybe I'll make a playlist later of my favorite '80s. But I already did that kind of, so I don't want to do that again. Don't mess around, you bring me down. How you get about, don't make a sound, just move out. Move out. Yeah, it's cool. 1982 by Yazoo called Situation. So there's a lot of things right now in my head as I go about this. Yazoo. They had a couple other songs too. Yazoo Situation. I want to say that's the one I'm thinking of, but I'm not sure, to be honest. Um, but yeah, this is a weird talk for me. I don't really know what to talk about because I don't really do this. In terms of this genre of music, that's why I said it feels like a novelty because I don't know. Like in hip hop, I can sort of tell what's cheesy and what hits me in a certain way. I'm like, all right, I can get into this vibe. So hopefully people do that and don't think this is just some. It seems like a novelty song because I'm the one performing it and producing it. But if this was done by a more talented person, it could be pretty cool. Like I'm doing this, like I'm trying to get all gangsta. There's only two words in my language, and they're money. Now, I was singing that in the garage yesterday, and yeah, there are some parts that I couldn't do. It sounded really stupid. I was trying to get all like into it, like there's only two words in my language, and they're money, 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 money. Now, 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 and it sounded so corny. So I just went back to the minimalist style that I kind of rely on. And yeah, that could come later if people have different suggestions or background singers are vitally important for a song like this. Because even I listed that Doobie Brothers, I think I was gonna do this whole chanting thing, kind of, or background vocal melody that was like, "There's only two words in my language, and they're money now." And then after that, that's the chorus. You would go into another part, post chorus, that goes, ah, ah, ah. You can tell I can't really do it well. I was doing it, I put it in the mix, and then I was like, this sounds so stupid, so I took it out. I heard people say that if you're going to bury stuff in the mix, don't even bother doing it. And he reminded me of that, I think, a Doobie Brothers song, Listen to the Music. Ah, doo 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 doo. Ah, listen to the music. Is that the Doobie Brothers? Who likes the Doobie Brothers? Because we got one of them. Yeah, I don't know. Is that the Doobie Brothers? Listen to the music. I'm all over the place in my head right now. Listen to the music all the time. Yeah, Doobie Brothers. All right. I'll give the Doobie Brothers some love. Maybe I love the Doobie Brothers. I just don't know. People make fun of them. I don't really dig into their catalog from 1972. But you can't deny it's danceable. You want to talk about dance music, you go to those commercially successful acts, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Doobie Brothers. I can't think of other ones right now. I like Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. I think they had some crazy stuff. Not that I know all their stuff, but the Philadelphia sound I talked about before. Oh, listen to the music. It's just a classic song that instantly comes in your head sometimes when you think of the general flow of it. It's really good. But yeah, that's where my head's at with this. I'm not going to speak for an hour. I don't have too much else to say, but this is my attempt of making a poppy song, radio song, a summertime anthem like the MIA Paper Planes. But she had perhaps more credibility. I don't know her story, but she seemed like a pretty badass lady. And she was writing some interesting lyrics about immigration I learned yesterday, and um, I don't know, other issues like that. What is MIA Paper Planes about? I started looking it up yesterday. Let's do that real quick, because that's another song that inspired this. What is MIA Paper Planes about? 2007 from Wikipedia. It's a brilliant satire of anti immigrant stereotypes and American consumerism. All right. Take your money. The title, Paper Planes, refers to fake visas. I didn't know that. While the lyrics mock the false fear mongering idea that immigrants are dangerous criminals, the famous gunshot and cash register sounds symbolize the everyday violence refugees flee and Western capitalism. All right, so I never knew any of this shit. I just thought it was a fun summertime song, and with a really cool beat. Yeah, which I said is based on a Clash song. I'll share that too, whatever it's called. Um, what song was it again? What Clash song did MIA sample? It's Straight to Hell by the Clash. All right. I'll share that song since I don't think I've ever heard it. So I'll give them credit. I'm not a big Clash fan. I never found an album I liked really. Like not a complete album. Even, the real famous one didn't really do much for me. The Clash, Straight to Hell. That's a band I gotta dive into again. So because I should like them based on my love of Operation Ivy and Green Day, some Green Day stuff. I should really like The Clash, but for some reason I just never connected to them as the musicality of it. Um, but I'll share that. I don't think I've ever shared The Clash before. So yeah, hopefully you get an idea of listen to this song. It's only 4 minutes, so it's not asking too much. Yesterday was a 38-minute album. Hopefully, maybe some people checked it out. Uh, I really just want feedback from people in the industry, or people who do things and put music out themselves. What am I missing in terms of the general flow and everything else? That's what I'm really concerned with. I know the songs could change, but the lyrics are pretty. Speaking of the one yesterday, my Tribute Velvet 6 song demo, I think the lyrics are pretty, completed, finalized. I can't do much more with those lyrics because I spent a lot of time on those. I think that's what sets it apart. I'm just writing a story of my experiences. I'm just writing as honestly as I can about whatever's in my head and trying to connect it to pop culture or about to pop culture and stuff like that. Maybe that gives me a unique type of experience with spoken word and drone music, mixing the drone atmosphere of bands like Swans and other bands like that. Cellar and Juliana Barwick. I mentioned a lot of those bands. Gas, the krautrock flavor. If I can add some weird poetry, maybe make people laugh as well, I think that gives it a unique style. But today is different. Listen to this song and let me know what you think of it. I did share it on the Band Lab, whatever it's called, that multi-track thing, Band Lab, and I did do it on there, but then I mastered it on the other program to make it sound a little better and get rid of the background noise. I think when I do my synthesizer on my phone, I'm hitting it so hard that it leaves a percussion in the background. And that's kind of annoying if you listen to it with headphones. So I had to try to get rid of that stuff. Luckily, I found a way to do it on the other program, Sound Boost. Um, so I'm learning. I'm still learning how to do this stuff. It took me all day. The vocal take was the quickest part, but putting everything together like a puzzle took me all day to really do. I didn't really mean to do that. I wanted to make it simple like I usually do, but once you start doing it, you become a perfectionist to some degree. Like, I'm not saying it's perfect. Of course it's not. But it's good enough where it can be, I believe it could be a radio song, a nod to 80s club music, 80s dance music, synthesizer, bass, synthesizer, beats. I don't have drums because I don't know how to approach that yet. I don't know how to approach a drum machine. I haven't worked or played with it to see where it could fit into a song like this. I don't know drums at all, man. It's very odd. I listened to Stacy Q, Two of Hearts, to try to get inspired, but nothing was hitting me. When I listened to the song, I could hear the synth melodies and bass lines and other parts like that. The vocals that I tried to do myself that failed. Um, there is a singing part that took me a long time to do, to space it out and get the timing right. It's probably not perfect, but it's close. Yeah, I called it the bridge or whatever. Um, so that took me a while. It took me all day to get it to a happy place. Find your happy place. Yeah, the bridge is like restrict the lid of lunatics with laundered words to cue the feds, declaring war on my regrets with a pop song to raise the dead. So yeah, you can tell I'm struggling just to do it like this. It took me forever to try to get a melody like that. Maybe somebody like Kimbra, somebody with a voice, could actually do something cool with that. I'll share another Kimbra song because I said that's my favorite pop album, The Golden Echo from Kimbra from years and years ago. What year was that? Like mid 2000s. I wanted to get it on vinyl, but it was very expensive. If you like pop music from that, The Golden Echo by Kimbra is like my favorite. I didn't expect it at all. That's why I liked it. 2014. It's an hour long. It came out summer 2014. It's got that Thundercat guy, I believe. She collaborated with a lot of people. Yeah, I don't really recognize any of these names, but I think Thundercat, pretty famous bass player. Yeah, Thundercat is on at least two of the tracks. Taylor Graves, that name, John Legend. Yeah, she's got. You go on Wikipedia, she's got like 100 people she worked with. Ben Weinman, that sounds familiar. Yeah, Dillinger Escape Plan. Yeah, right on. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Even the dude from the Mars Volta, Omar Rodriguez Lopez, I think he had a part on here. So yeah, go check out. If you never knew Kimbra music, go check it out. It's really good. The Golden Echo was my favorite one, but all her music's pretty good. I guess that wraps it up for today. I wanted to handle a song like this because my only instruments right now are virtual synthesizers, and maybe I'll mess around with drums later. Try to get a better understanding of how to incorporate drums into a pop song. Like, I don't know. I just really don't know. I never pay attention to drums, I guess, when I was a kid. I would just listen to the voice and the beat and the whole groove of the song, but I was never like air drumming. I don't have that type of a background. I never tried to play drums before. But yeah, it's something I would be excited to try to explore. Uh, even if it's, I don't expect myself to buy a full drum set one day. Just African drums or some other percussive instruments like that could give me more of a simple bass. The type of music I want to make, I don't think it calls for a fancy drum set or any fancy instrument. I'd much rather play this song on my acoustic because I think it sounded cooler. If you watched my video from last summer when I was playing it on my guitar, I think I had a more natural flow because I'm used to playing guitar and singing, or at least I was. I haven't played since like last summer now. But yeah, that's it for today. I think I'm going to keep this short. I don't have much else to say. Other than that, I attempted to mimic the guitar melody that I came up with last summer. I wanted to remake it with a synthesizer guitar, and it didn't work. I just thought it sounded really plasticky and fake because it is kind of fake. You can mimic the sound of an acoustic 12 string, but it's not the same as strumming it and getting a rhythm, finding that space to sing and the right. You get into a zone, at least I did. After you warm up, you can get into a zone where your brain and your words connect with the music more. And I don't know how to do that just tapping buttons on a phone. I can't really zone out. So, yeah, there is a missing link because I think it would have been cool to make this song an acoustic song as well, which was the original idea. And to be honest, that's what it would probably become in the future because I'm more comfortable with that. I'm not a club guy. Yeah, I'm not a club guy. I don't go to clubs. I never really did. Listening to dance, besides like Daft Punk, maybe. Random Access Memories. I think that's the one I kind of fell in love with the Giorgio Moroder, whatever his name is. Random Access Memories. That's not from that long ago, maybe 10 years ago. This will be the last thing I look up today. Random Access Memories, 2013. It's not that long. Daft Punk, I know they're pretty famous for a lot of their stuff. So that's another band. Maybe I'll share something from that. But I don't know that type of music that well. You can hear me talk. I don't really know what to talk about today. I could talk about Velvet Underground a little bit better. Patti Smith, No Wave, more poetic spoken word stuff. Today I'm kind of lost because I don't know this wilderness of pop music. I don't know Prince. I never really got into Prince stuff. 80s Madonna. I kind of enjoy that. But there's a lot of stuff I just don't know. I'll have to explore things because I know a lot of people make music like this and they make it sound a lot better. With different programming, different programs, you can really make a hit song without going to a studio, without having a producer, mixer, master, somebody to master your things. You could do it yourself. I just don't know how to make it sound as good as that. Working with the levels and everything, working with mixing, it's a new frontier, and it's probably not recommended to do it on a phone using headphones that probably aren't up to par with hearing the actual song and splitting it up into segments like that. And there's no drums on it, so people will be like, "Where's the beat? Where's the drums, man?" So yeah, this is not a finished product that I'm sharing today. But hopefully it could get some people motivated to dance or jump around because I think it has a cool bass that could really get people dancing like back in the 80s. So hopefully you can get what I'm talking about when you listen to it. And the lyrics are just stupid lyrics. I think I talked about it more on my other talk last summer. But that's it. I also made the decision not to do this every single day. I might do this every other day or take some days off because it becomes too obsessive. So the next one I'm going to do is maybe Sunday or Monday, and I'll go from there. It's a song that's inspired by the Strokes, Kiss the Danger. And I'm going to have to use the synth again to mimic what I'm going for. Maybe add some drums if I can learn how to do it successfully. That's either going to be Sunday or Monday. I probably won't do anything tomorrow unless I really get the urge to. Um, my focus is just to make some really, it did take me all day to do it, so I'm not going to say it was a quick experience, but I want to do these quickly just to show what the songs could be. This is not a finished product at all. It's not even close. It's more of a you can tell if you're gonna like a show, the pilot episode like Breaking Bad. I instantly fell in love with Breaking Bad from the pilot episode. When you hear a song, you're either gonna love it or hate it right away. When you reach, your 40s, where you think you've heard so many things, you've heard enough pop music to know if it's gonna be something original or not. So hopefully some people can get what I'm going for. It might be harder for younger teenagers. They might not know the 80s style. I don't know if people like Taylor Swift or that Olivia Rodrigo or, well, Billie Eilish, and maybe they do more of those 80s beats. I really don't know. I haven't spent time with what teenagers are listening to. So I don't know, how to really. Do kids and teenagers have a sense of what 80s music was? Probably not. But, I learned 50s, 60s, hippie music, classic rock from the 70s. But that came more as I got older. As a teenager, I'm just listening to the radio, whatever my friends were listening to. But that's it for today. Have a good 4th. Don't blow up your fingers like that football player did years ago. And yeah, enjoy the weekend. hopefully, by doing stuff like this, hopefully I can get some inspiration and more of a game plan for how I want to approach this in the future when I really start approaching this like a career where I spend 12 to 20 hours a day on one song. There was a Kimbra story where I guess during the pandemic, maybe she was working with other people, Jacob Collier maybe, and there was just like nonstop layers and layers and layers on a multi-track software program, and it was just like nonstop for like three days or some shit. I don't remember. I'm probably misremembering this. I don't even remember what the song was, but I could see how it gets addicting. There's that voice inside of you saying, "This could sound better. This doesn't blend. You got to do this over. Do this over. Oh, I just thought of a new part. Let's add that. No, that doesn't work. Take it out." And it could easily take a week or longer to get a song out like that. So maybe I'll share that one if I remember it, or something from the Golden Echo. But yeah, thanks for listening. That's all for today. There's only two words in my language, and they're money now.